Hello dear viewers. Tonight, I'm going to share with you what might be one of the most complex and thought-provoking stories I've ever told. In the first days of 2024, on the 18th floor of a luxury hotel in Miami Beach, the bodies of two young women were found. Both were in their 20s, both were beautiful, and both were from the same family, sisters. Have you ever wondered how someone can fall from a normal, ordinary life into such a dark world so quickly? What about money? Is money really the key to happiness? Or is it sometimes the greatest danger knocking at our door? Phoenix, Arizona. Two sisters growing up in the scorching heat of the sun. Esperanza and Paloma Rodriguez. Esperanza was 24 years old. Paloma was 22. They were both children of a Mexican family. They had never met their father. Their mother had tried to raise them by working cleaning jobs. Esperanza. This name means hope in Spanish. How ironic, isn't it? Because by the end of this story, there would be no such thing as hope. Esperanza was the older sister, and had always felt responsibility on her shoulders. As a child, she would arrange market shelves to cover school expenses. When she finished high school at 16, she immediately started working. She also tried to cover the school expenses of her little sister Paloma. Paloma was a completely different character, more dreamy, more ambitious. She had thousands of followers on Instagram. Every day she would share makeup videos and give fashion advice. Her dream was to become famous one day. Maybe she could be in a reality show, but real life wasn't as bright as social media. They both lived in a small apartment in Phoenix with their mother Consuela. Consuela was 52 years old, had diabetes, and could no longer work as much as before. Rent, electricity, water, health expenses. The same struggle every month. Esperanza worked the night shift at a call center. She listened to customer complaints. On the phone, repeating the same answers for hours. Paloma did manicures at a beauty salon. The money they both earned was barely enough to cover basic needs. Late November 2023. The weather was still hot in Phoenix, but Esperanza's heart was ice cold. Her mother had come back from the doctor's checkup with bad news. Blood sugar levels were rising uncontrollably. She needed more expensive medications. "Mia, did you see the price of these medications?" said Consuela, handing her the pharmacy receipt. $300 a month. $300. This amount was almost half of Esperanza's salary. Paloma stood quietly in the corner, watching her mother and sister. That night, before going to bed, she entered Esperanza's room. "Sister, we have to do something. This can't go on." "What can we do, Paloma?" "I'm already trying to work more." "I don't know, but we have to find a way. I'm tired of this poverty. Always the same things, always the same problems." There was a different light in Paloma's eyes. Esperanza had seen this look before. Her little sister was making a plan. 2 weeks passed. Paloma was working at the beauty salon as usual. That day, one of the salon's customers made her an unusual offer. She was a middle-aged, well-dressed woman. Her name was Miranda Davis. "Honey, can we talk for a bit?" said Miranda after her manicure was finished. Paloma nodded. Miranda handed her a business card. "I work for a luxury event planning company. Private invitations, party organizations, wealthy clients. I have a job offer for you." Paloma's heart started beating fast. "What kind of job?" "Hosting. We need beautiful girls at wealthy businessmen's parties. You just need to be there, look beautiful, and accompany the guests. $1,000 for one night. $1,000. When Paloma heard this figure, she was breathless. $1,000 was more than twice her normal salary. "Is this legal?" Miranda laughed. "Of course, honey. You're just hostessing. That's what party organization business is about. But of course, you need to be beautiful and have good social skills." Paloma took the card. "Can I think about it?" "Of course. But don't wait too long. These opportunities don't last long. That night when Paloma came home, she was quite excited. But she was also uneasy. As she told Esperanza about the situation, there was uncertainty in her voice. "Sister, she's promising a lot of money, but, I don't know, there's something strange. Can money be earned this easily?" Esperanza thought. On one hand, the excitement that money gave, on the other hand, the uneasiness inside her. "Paloma, let's first investigate this Miranda. Let's learn about her company's address, references." The next day, Paloma called the number on the business card. Miranda's voice sounded very reliable on the phone. The company's address was in a prestigious business center in Scottsdale. The website also looked professional. "Come to the office tomorrow, let's meet," said Miranda. "Your sister can come too, if she's interested. You're both beautiful like twins." The office in Scottsdale was really impressive. A modern building made of glass. When they entered, Miranda met them at the reception. She was a woman in a suit, looking professional. "Girls, let me explain the details of the job to you." Miranda took them to the meeting room. Photos of successful events were hanging on the walls. Everything looked very legal and serious. "Our clients are usually successful men from the business world. We organize international meetings, gala dinners, private invitations. All we ask from you is to be present at these events and accompany the guests." "What do you mean by accompany?" asked Esperanza. "Talk, smile, help them have a good time." Very simple. Miranda put several photos on the table. Scenes from previous events. There really were beautiful girls and well-dressed men. "So how's the payment?" "Cash. You get it immediately after each event. Also, the clothes you'll wear, makeup, hairdresser expenses are on us." Esperanza and Paloma looked at each other. Everything seemed very attractive. "When is the first event?" "This Saturday. A private yacht party in Miami. Plane tickets, hotel, everything's on us. Just 2 days. When you return, you'll each have $2,000 in your hands." $2,000. This amount was enough to cover their mother's medication costs. "Okay," said Paloma. "We accept." Esperanza nodded, trying to hide her uneasiness. "We accept." Miranda smiled. "Great. I'll send you all the details tomorrow. You'll have a very good time in Miami." That evening, on their way home, they both had mixed feelings. On one hand, excitement. On the other hand, fear of the unknown. "Sister, do you think we made the right decision?" Esperanza looked at her sister's face. She looked so young. "I don't know, Paloma. But we don't have any other choice either." Friday night, Miranda called. "Girls, you have to be at the airport early tomorrow morning. You're going to Miami by private jet." "Private jet?" "Yes. Our client is a very important person. Everything has been planned down to the finest detail." Saturday morning they met at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. Miranda had brought another woman with her. She was middle-aged with a stern look. "This is Victoria. She manages our operations in Miami." Victoria looked Esperanza and Paloma up and down. "Beautiful girls. Clients will like them." The private jet was really luxurious. Inside were leather seats, a minibar, every comfort. During the flight, Victoria explained the rules to them. "Don't make too much personal conversation with clients. Smile, be kind, but keep your distance. You can drink alcohol but don't get drunk. And most importantly," Victoria paused a bit, "don't take photos, don't record videos. This is very important. Our clients are very sensitive about privacy." When they landed in Miami, the weather was more humid compared to Phoenix. Victoria took them directly to a luxury hotel. They had 2 separate suites with Biscayne Bay views. "We're meeting downstairs at 7 in the evening. Rest until then." When Esperanza was alone in her room, the uneasiness inside her increased. She texted Paloma, "Is everything okay?" "Yes, sister. This hotel is amazing. Maybe we're worrying too much." When they went downstairs at 7 in the evening, Victoria had brought 3 more girls with her. They were all young and beautiful like them. Girls, tonight's client is very special. He's Khalid Al-Mansuri, a businessman from Dubai, very wealthy and very influential. Victoria gave them the dresses they would wear. They were expensive designer clothes. The yacht moves at 9, cars will come at 8:30. Everything seemed very professional. But Esperanza still wasn't comfortable. She approached her little sister. "Paloma, if you feel uncomfortable, tell me immediately, okay?" "Okay, sister. But it's just one evening. What could happen?" At 8:30, a luxury minibus arrived. They got on with the other girls. Everyone was beautifully dressed and excited. When they arrived at Marina Miami, there was a huge yacht in front of them. At least 30 meters long, 3 floors, sparkling. Sahara Princess was written on it. When they boarded the yacht, they saw how luxurious the inside was. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, real works of art. Everything smelled of money. Khalid Al-Mansuri met them in the lounge. He was in his 40s, handsome, very well dressed. His English was fluent, but he had a slight Arabic accent. "Welcome, beautiful ladies. Tonight will be an unforgettable night." As the yacht started moving, Khalid offered them drinks. Champagne, the best kind. Paloma was drinking something so expensive for the first time. "Where are you from?" asked Khalid. "From Phoenix," replied Paloma. "Ah, a very hot place. It's better here. Sea, breeze, peace." As the night progressed, the atmosphere became more relaxed. Khalid was being very polite, not bothering any of them. He was just talking, making jokes, listening to their troubles. "Why do you work here?" he asked. Esperanza hesitated a bit, but then explained. Her mother's illness, financial difficulties, future worries. A genuine expression of sympathy appeared on Khalid's face. "I understand. Life sometimes gets tough. But strong women always find their way." As the night progressed, Khalid told them about his life in Dubai. Business world, luxury events, travels. It seemed like a very different world. "In Dubai, there's always need for beautiful girls like you. Businessmen there spend a lot of money on social events." Paloma's eyes lit up. "Really?" "Of course. If you want, I can invite you to Dubai too. There are much better opportunities there." The yacht returned to the marina at midnight. Khalid gave each of them the money he had promised. $2,000 cash. "Thank you, girls." It was a very pleasant evening. When they returned to the hotel, Paloma was excited. "Sister, did you see how much of a gentleman he was? And that money." Esperanza was also happy, but still had a strange feeling inside. "Yes, it went well. But we still have to be careful." The next morning when they returned to Phoenix, their mother Consuela listened to their stories. When she saw the money, her eyes filled with tears. "Majas, thank you so much. Thanks to this money, I can get my medications." From that day on, their lives changed. Miranda called frequently. New events, new clients, new money. A casino table event in Las Vegas. A movie premiere in Los Angeles. Every time the same way. Good money, luxury environments, polite clients, but especially Khalid was frequently in contact with them. He would send messages on WhatsApp, send gifts. Expensive makeup sets, perfumes, jewelry. "You are my special friends," he would say. "Seriously consider coming to Dubai. There are much better opportunities there." In early December, Khalid was in Miami again. This time he only called Esperanza and Paloma. "A special dinner. Just you two. We'll discuss a very important matter." This time the meeting place was Khalid's hotel suite. The penthouse suite at Fontainebleau, Miami Beach. The view was breathtaking. "Girls, I want to make you an offer." Khalid invited them to the table. Food was being brought by service staff. Everything was very professional. "I'm organizing a big event in Dubai for the new year. Businessmen from all over the world will come. It's a very prestigious organization. And I want you to be there. Just 1 week. But in return, I'll pay each of you $10,000. $10,000. Esperanza and Paloma looked at each other. This amount was enough to completely change their lives. $10,000? Asked Paloma. Yes, plus all expenses. Plane, hotel, food, shopping. Everything's on me. Millions of questions passed through Esperanza's mind. Will we only do hosting? Of course. You'll do the same things. Just this time for a longer period. Khalid put some papers on the table. These are the documents needed for Dubai visa. If you accept, we can start the procedures immediately. That evening when they returned to the hotel, they both had mixed feelings. $10,000 was a very big amount. But Dubai was very far away. Sister, what do you think? I don't know, Paloma. Everything looks very good, but double quotes, but too far. A different country. What if something goes wrong? Paloma held her sister's hand. Sister, this is a big opportunity for us. With this money, we can cover all of Mom's treatment. Maybe we can even start our own business. Esperanza knew she was right. But the uneasiness inside her wouldn't go away. The next morning, Khalid called again. Girls, have you decided? Because I need to book the plane tickets. Paloma took the phone. We accept. Great. You're flying tomorrow. Tomorrow? So fast. Yes, the event is approaching. We need to hurry. That day, big preparations started at home. Suitcase, passport, goodbye. Their mother Consuelo was both excited and worried. Maijas, be very careful. That's a different country. Don't worry, Mom. Just 1 week. And we'll earn very good money. On the evening of December 27, 2023, they set off from Phoenix Sky Harbor towards Dubai, Emirates first class. A 14-hour flight. On the plane, Paloma was excited. Sister, imagine, Dubai. The most luxurious city in the world. Esperanza was looking out the window. Below, the lights of Phoenix were getting smaller and disappearing from sight. She had a strange feeling inside, as if she was leaving something behind, but she didn't know what yet. So, I ask you, what would you have done if you were in their place? Would you have gone to an unknown country for such a big amount like $10,000? Or when that little voice inside you said, stop, would you have listened to it? Share your thoughts in the comments to learn what happens next in this story. What was waiting for them in Dubai? What was the real intention of Khalid, who was being so generous? And most importantly, what had happened in that hotel room in Miami? December 28, 2023, Dubai International Airport. When Esperanza and Paloma stepped off the Emirates plane, the first thing that hit them was the air conditioning. Even in December, Dubai was warm, but the airport felt like a palace of ice and marble. Khalid was waiting for them at the arrival's gate. Not alone. Beside him stood a tall, elegant woman in traditional Emirati dress, but with modern touches. Her name was Layla. Welcome to Dubai, my beautiful friends, said Khalid, embracing them both warmly. This is Layla. She will be your guide during your stay here. Layla's English was perfect, her smile calculated. Welcome to the city of dreams. I hope you will love it here. The ride to the hotel was like a movie scene. A white Rolls-Royce Phantom glided through Dubai's illuminated highways. Through the windows they saw a city that defied imagination. Skyscrapers touching the clouds, golden lights everywhere. Luxury cars at every corner. This is Sheikh Zayed Road, explained Layla. The heart of modern Dubai. Soon you'll see Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. When the Burj Khalifa came into view, Paloma gasped. It's incredible. It looks like it touches the sky. Khalid chuckled. Wait until you see it from our hotel. We have reserved the royal suite at Burj Al Arab. Burj Al Arab. Even Esperanza, who knew nothing about luxury hotels, had heard this name. The sail-shaped building, one of the most expensive hotels in the world, thought the hotel's interior was beyond their wildest dreams. Gold everywhere. Real gold. The floors, the walls, even the elevator buttons were gold-plated. The royal suite was on the 25th floor, with a 180-degree view of the Persian Gulf. "This is your home for the next week," said Khalid. "Rest today. Tomorrow we start the real work." That evening, room service brought dinner to their suite. Not just any dinner. Wagyu beef, lobster, caviar, champagne from France. Paloma was filming everything with her phone. "Sister, can you believe this? We're living like queens." But Esperanza was more cautious. "Paloma, remember what Victoria said about photos. It's just for us. I'm not posting anything." The next morning, Layla arrived early. She had brought a team with her. Hairstylists, makeup artists, personal shoppers. "Today we're preparing you for tomorrow night's event," she explained. "Mr. Al-Mansuri wants you to look perfect." They were taken to Dubai Mall, one of the largest shopping centers in the world. The luxury section was a different universe. Chanel, Dior, Louis Vuitton, Hermes. Stores where a single bag cost more than their yearly salary in Phoenix. "Choose whatever you want," said Layla. Money is no object. For the first time in their lives, Esperanza and Paloma could buy anything they desired. Evening gowns worth $5,000, shoes worth $2,000, jewelry that sparkled like stars. It felt surreal. That afternoon they had lunch at Atmosphere, the restaurant on the 122nd floor of Burj Khalifa. The city spread out below them like a golden carpet. Khalid joined them. "Are you enjoying Dubai?" he asked. "It's like a fairy tale," replied Paloma. "I never imagined such a place existed." Khalid's expression grew more serious. "Tomorrow night's event is very important. The guests are some of the most powerful men in the Middle East. Oil company owners, real estate moguls, technology investors." "What exactly will we be doing?" asked Esperanza. "The same as always. Be beautiful, be charming, make them feel special. But these men are different from American businessmen. They appreciate, how should I say, more traditional feminine qualities." Layla nodded. "In our culture, women who are modest yet elegant are most valued. You should be friendly but not too familiar." That evening, they had dinner at a private beach club. Only the three of them. The atmosphere was relaxed, almost intimate. Khalid seemed different, more personal. "Tell me about your dreams," he said. "What do you want from life?" Paloma spoke first. "I want to be famous. Maybe act in movies or have my own TV show. But mostly, I want my family to never worry about money again." "And you, Esperanza?" Esperanza thought carefully. "I want security. A stable life. Maybe open a business, help my community." Khalid nodded thoughtfully. Both admirable goals. In Dubai, dreams can come true very quickly. Especially for beautiful, intelligent women like you. "What do you mean?" "Many successful women here started exactly like you. They came for short-term work and ended up building empires. Real estate, fashion, entertainment. The opportunities are limitless." As the night progressed, Khalid shared more about his life. He owned construction companies, luxury hotels, oil trading firms. His wealth was beyond imagination. "I didn't inherit this," he said. "I built it from nothing. 20 years ago, I was just a poor boy from a small village. But I had vision." "How did you do it?" asked Paloma. "Connections. In Dubai, everything is about connections. Who you know, who trusts you, who invites you to their table. And beautiful, intelligent women are the best connectors." December 30th arrived. The day of the grand event. The preparations began at noon. Professional stylists worked on their hair and makeup for 3 hours. The result was stunning. They looked like Middle Eastern princesses. The event venue was a private palace in Palm Jumeirah, the artificial island shaped like a palm tree. The palace belonged to a Saudi oil magnate. The driveway was lined with Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Rolls-Royces. Inside, the opulence was overwhelming. Crystal chandeliers the size of cars, marble imported from Italy, Persian carpets worth millions. About 50 guests mingled in the main hall, all men, all wealthy, all powerful. Khalid introduced them to several guests. Abdullah, who owned half of Kuwait's oil refineries. Hassan, who developed skyscrapers across the Gulf. Rashid, who controlled shipping routes through the Suez Canal. The men were polite, but their attention was intense. Esperanza felt like a butterfly under a magnifying glass. Everything she said, every gesture was being evaluated. "You are from America?" asked Abdullah. "Phoenix is very hot, like our dessert." "Yes, sir. But Dubai is much more beautiful." Abdullah smiled. Smart answer. Beauty and intelligence, a rare combination. As the evening progressed, Esperanza noticed something strange. Other women were there too, but they seemed different. They spoke Arabic fluently, moved with practiced grace, knew exactly how to behave. They weren't temporary hostesses. They belonged to this world. One of them, a stunning woman named Yasmin, approached during a quiet moment. "You're the new girls from America," she said in accented English. "First time in Dubai?" "Yes. How did you know?" Yasmin smiled, but there was something sad in her eyes. "I can always tell. I was like you once. 5 years ago." "What do you mean?" "I came for 1 week. Just 1 week like you, now." She gestured around the opulent room. "Now this is my life." Before Esperanza could ask more, Layla appeared. "Yasmin, Mr. Hassan is looking for you." Her tone was sharp warning. Yasmin's demeanor changed immediately. "Of course." "Excuse me." She walked away quickly. Layla turned to Esperanza. "Don't listen to Yasmin too much. She sometimes gets nostalgic. Not good for the atmosphere." That night, back at the hotel, Esperanza couldn't shake her conversation with Yasmin. What had she meant? What was her real story? Paloma, however, was euphoric. "Sister, did you see how they treated us? Like we were royalty. And the gifts they gave us?" The guests had indeed showered them with expensive gifts. Jewelry, perfumes, even a designer handbag worth $10,000. "This is just the beginning," Paloma continued. "Khalid said if we do well, there could be permanent opportunities here." "Permanent?" "Think about it, sister. We could live like this always. No more worry about rent, mom's medicines, any of it." December 31st, New Year's Eve, the final event of their contracted week. This time it was on Khalid's own yacht, even larger than the one in Miami. The guest list was smaller but more exclusive. Only 15 men, but each worth hundreds of millions. The yacht sailed into international waters as the sun set. Dubai's skyline glittered like jewels against the darkening sky. Fireworks were already being prepared for the midnight celebration. During dinner, Esperanza found herself seated next to Hassan, the real estate developer. He was in his 50s, well-educated, spoke perfect English. "You seem thoughtful tonight," he observed. "Not enjoying yourself?" "No, it's wonderful. I'm just taking it all in." Hassan studied her carefully. "You're different from most girls who come here. More serious." "That's good. Serious people build lasting relationships." "Relationships?" "In our world, everything is about relationships. Business relationships, personal relationships, family relationships. They all connect." As the yacht moved further from shore, Hassan's conversation became more direct. "Khalid tells me you might be interested in staying longer in Dubai." Esperanza's heart skipped. "He did?" There are many opportunities for women like you. Not just hosting events. Real business opportunities. But they require commitment. What kind of commitment? Hassan leaned closer. The kind where Dubai becomes your home. Where you build your life here, with the right connections, the right protections. Before Esperanza could respond, midnight approached. Everyone gathered on the deck for the countdown. As 2024 began with fireworks exploding over the Persian Gulf, Khalid announced something that made Esperanza's blood run cold. My friends, I have wonderful news. Esperanza and Paloma have decided to extend their stay in Dubai. They'll be joining our permanent family. Paloma looked shocked. Khalid, I never said ... But Khalid's smile never wavered. Don't be modest, Habibti. We discussed this extensively. Esperanza grabbed her sister's hand. Something was very wrong. They had never agreed to extend their stay. In fact, their return flights to Phoenix were booked for January 2nd. Later that night, back in their hotel suite, the sisters had an urgent conversation. Paloma, did you tell Khalid we wanted to stay? No, I mentioned it was beautiful here, but I never agreed to anything. Esperanza's phone buzzed. A message from their mother in Phoenix. Maijas, when are you coming home? I'm worried. They had been supposed to call her every day, but somehow in the whirlwind of luxury and events, they had forgotten. Now it had been 2 days since their last conversation. Esperinza tried calling Phoenix, but the international connection seemed weak. Finally, after several attempts, she reached her mother. Mama, we're fine. How are you feeling? Mia, I've been so worried. And something strange happened. Yesterday, a man came to the house asking about you girls. What man? He said he was from Immigration Services, asking questions about your work, your travel. I told him you were in Dubai for business, but he seemed suspicious. After the call ended, a chill settled over both sisters. Who would be investigating them in Phoenix? Esperanza decided to check their return flights. When she called the airline, the representative delivered shocking news. I'm sorry, miss, but those tickets have been canceled. Canceled? By whom? The booking agent, Mr. Khalid Al-Mansuri, canceled them yesterday. Esperanza's hands were shaking as she hung up. They were trapped. The next morning, January 1st, 2024, Layla arrived at their suite with news. Good morning, girls. Khalid has arranged a special New Year's Day celebration. A private gathering at his personal residence. Actually, Layla, we need to discuss our return flights. There seems to be some confusion. Layla's smile remained fixed. Oh, don't worry about that. Khalid is handling all travel arrangements. Just focus on enjoying your time here. But we need to go home. Our mother is expecting us. Of course, of course. These things can be arranged. But first, today's event is very important. Some special guests want to meet you personally. Something in Layla's tone made it clear this wasn't a request. Khalid's personal residence was in Emirates Hills, Dubai's most exclusive neighborhood. The house was a palace, with guards at every entrance and security cameras everywhere. Inside, they were introduced to 3 men who made all the previous guests seem ordinary. These were not just wealthy businessmen. These were power brokers. Men who controlled governments, moved armies, decided the fate of nations. One of them, introduced only as His Excellence, spoke to them privately. My dear girls, you have made quite an impression during your time here. Certain opportunities are being discussed. Opportunities that could make you very wealthy, very comfortable, for the rest of your lives. What kind of opportunities? Asked Esperanza. The kind that require discretion. The kind that require loyalty. The kind that require, shall we say, a commitment to this way of life. That evening, as they returned to the hotel, Esperanza made a decision. She pulled Paloma aside. We're leaving. Tomorrow morning. Whatever it takes. Sister, what are you talking about? Did you see what they're offering us? Paloma, don't you understand? They canceled our flights. They're not planning to let us leave. You're being paranoid. They're just treating us well. Then why haven't we been able to call Mom properly? Why are there always people watching us? Why did Khalid tell everyone we're staying without asking us first? For the first time, doubt appeared in Paloma's eyes. What do you think we should do? I think we need to get to the American consulate. Tomorrow. But as they made these plans, neither sister noticed the small recording device hidden in their suite's flower arrangement. Every word they spoke was being transmitted to Khalid's security team. The trap was closing, and they didn't even know it yet. What would you do if you realized you were trapped in a foreign country by people who seemed friendly, but clearly had other plans for your life? How far would you go to escape a golden cage? In the next part, we'll discover what desperate measures the sisters took to try to return home, and why their story ended so tragically in that Miami hotel room. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been in a situation where something seemed too good to be true? January 2nd, 2024, 6 a.m. Dubai time. Esperanza woke up with a start. She had barely slept, her mind racing with escape plans. Today was supposed to be their departure day. Instead, they were prisoners in a golden cage. She looked over at Paloma, who was still sleeping peacefully. Her sister's face looked so young, so innocent. How had they gotten themselves into this situation? Esperanza quietly got dressed and went to the balcony. Dubai was waking up below her, the morning call to prayer echoing across the city. It should have been beautiful, but all she felt was trapped. Her phone buzzed. A message from Khalid. Good morning, beautiful. Car will pick you up at 10 a.m. Special surprise today. Another surprise. Another event. Another day deeper into this trap. At exactly 10 a.m., the car arrived. Not Layla this time, but two men in suits who introduced themselves as Ahmed and Faisal. They were polite, but there was something different about them. They weren't hospitality staff. They were security. Where's Layla? Asked Esperanza. She's busy today. We'll be taking care of you, replied Ahmed in broken English. The car didn't head toward the city center. Instead, it drove toward the outskirts of Dubai, into the desert. Paloma grabbed her sister's hand nervously. Where are we going? Mr. Khalid wants to show you something special. Desert experience. After an hour of driving, they arrived at a luxury desert camp. But this wasn't a tourist destination. There were no other visitors, no tour guides. Just isolated tents in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by endless sand dunes. Khalid was waiting for them in the main tent. But he wasn't alone. Beside him sat the man who had been introduced as His Excellence the night before. Welcome to my private retreat, said Khalid. Here we can talk openly, without interruptions. The tent was lavishly decorated with Persian carpets and silk cushions, but Esperanza felt more trapped than ever. They were miles from the city, from the airport, from any help. Sick, please, said His Excellence. We need to discuss your future. His tone was no longer friendly. It was businesslike, cold. Girls, you have been selected for a very special program. You will be well taken care of, better than you could ever imagine. But in return, you must understand certain obligations. What obligations? Asked Esperanza. Loyalty, discretion, availability when needed. You will live here in Dubai, in luxury, but you will also work when called upon. What kind of work? His Excellence smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. The same work you've been doing. Entertaining important guests. But on a more permanent basis. Paloma finally spoke up. We want to go home. We have families, responsibilities. Your families will be taken care of. Your mother's medical bills, her medications, everything. In fact, they're being taken care of as we speak. Esperanza's blood ran cold. What do you mean? Khalid pulled out his phone and showed them photos. Photos of their house in Phoenix. Photos of their mother going to the doctor. Photos that could only have been taken by someone watching her. Your mother is safe, as long as you cooperate. But if you try to leave, if you try to contact authorities, if you cause any problems, double quotes, he let the threat hang in the air. You're threatening our mother? I'm protecting your family. This is how business works here. Everyone has obligations, everyone has protections. It's a very old system. The meeting lasted 2 hours. By the end, the message was clear. They weren't guests anymore. They were assets. Valuable assets that would not be allowed to leave. When they returned to the hotel that evening, Esperanza was in despair. But Paloma surprised her with unexpected determination. Sister, we have to fight this. How? They have people watching Mom. They canceled our flights. We don't even have our passports. What do you mean we don't have our passports? Esperanza checked her purse. The passports that had been there since their arrival were gone. That night, Esperanza made a desperate decision. She would try to reach the U.S. consulate. She found the number online and called from the hotel's landline, hoping it was less monitored than their cell phones. U.S. Consulate Dubai, how can I help you? I'm an American citizen and I'm being held against my will. I need help. Ma'am, can you provide your name and passport number? Esperanza gave her information. The consular official promised someone would contact her within 24 hours, but help never came. Instead, the next morning, Layla arrived with devastating news. Girls, there's been an incident. Your behavior yesterday was disappointing to our hosts. What do you mean? Phone calls to unauthorized numbers. Discussions of leaving when your commitment here is clear. This kind of behavior has consequences. Layla showed them photos on her tablet. Their mother, Consuela, in what appeared to be a hospital bed. She had an accident yesterday. Fell down some stairs. She's alive, but she needs expensive treatment. Treatment that will only be provided if you fulfill your obligations here. Esperanza knew it was no accident. They had hurt her mother to keep them in line. That afternoon, in desperation, Esperanza convinced one of the hotel housekeepers to help her. The woman, a Filipino named Maria, spoke English and seemed sympathetic. Please, Esperanza begged, just get a message to the American consulate. Tell them where we are. Maria nodded, but looked terrified. These people, they are very powerful. Very dangerous. Please. Our lives depend on it. The next day, Maria was gone. The hotel manager explained she had been transferred to another location. January 5th, their 6th day in captivity. Khalid announced they would be attending another event. But this time, something was different. We're going to Miami, he said. There's an important business meeting there. You'll help entertain some potential investors. Miami? Esperanza's heart jumped. Miami was in America. If they could get to Miami, maybe they could escape, but Khalid wasn't finished. Of course, you'll be carefully supervised. And remember, your mother's health depends on your good behavior. The flight to Miami was on Khalid's private jet. Besides the sisters, the passengers included Khalid, Layla, Ahmed, Faisal, and 2 men they hadn't met before. Security was tight. During the 16-hour flight, Esperanza tried to think of escape plans. Once they were on American soil, surely they could find help. But how could they get away from their guards? And what would happen to their mother? They landed at Miami Executive Airport on January 6th, not the main international airport where there might be more security and immigration officials, but a private facility used by wealthy travelers, the same hotel as before, Fontainebleau, Miami Beach. But this time, their room was on the 18th floor, and there was always a guard in the hallway. The business meeting turned out to be another sick charade. Wealthy men from around the world, all interested in the same kind of entertainment services that Khalid provided. But Esperanza noticed something during the event. One of the guests, an older man named Robert Thompson, seemed different. He wasn't participating in the same way as the others. He kept staring at the sisters with what looked like concern. During a quiet moment, Thompson approached Esperanza. "You're not here voluntarily, are you?" he whispered. Esperanza's heart raced. Someone had noticed. Someone understood. "Please help us," she whispered back. Thompson nodded slightly. "I'll try." But before he could say more, Ahmed appeared. Mr. Khalid wants to see you." That night, back in their hotel room, Esperanza told Paloma about Thompson. "Maybe he can help us. Maybe he'll call the police." But Paloma had devastating news of her own. "Sister, I overheard Khalid talking to Layla. Tomorrow is our last day." "What do you mean?" "They're selling us to the highest bidders. Tomorrow night, we'll be separated, sent to different places." Esperanza felt the world spinning around her. They were going to be sold like cattle. That night, she made the most desperate decision of her life. She would try to escape, even if it meant leaving Paloma behind temporarily. If she could get help, maybe she could save both of them. At 3 a.m., when the guard outside seemed to be dozing, Esperanza quietly opened the balcony door. They were on the 18th floor, but there was a maintenance ladder that led to the 17th floor balcony below. She carefully climbed down, her heart pounding. From the 17th floor, she could take the stairs to the lobby and try to reach the street. But as she entered the 17th floor hallway, someone was waiting for her. Faisal. "Going somewhere, Miss Esperanza?" They had been watching. They had known about her plan all along. "I was just ... You were just making a very big mistake." Faisal escorted her back to the 18th floor. But as they entered the elevator, Esperanza heard something that chilled her to the bone. Screaming. Paloma. Screaming. She ran to their room to find Layla injecting something into Paloma's arm. "What are you doing to her?" "Keeping her calm." She was becoming hysterical. Paloma's eyes were glazed, her movements sluggish. They had drugged her. "Don't worry," said Khalid, who had appeared in the doorway. "It's just a mild sedative. We can't have any more escape attempts." The next morning, January 8th, Paloma was barely conscious. Esperanza begged to take her to a hospital, but Khalid refused. "She's fine. Just needs rest." But Esperanza could see her sister was not fine. Her breathing was shallow, her skin pale. Something was seriously wrong. That afternoon, while Khalid was in meetings, Esperanza made another desperate attempt. She called the front desk from the room phone. "Please, I need an ambulance. My sister is sick." But instead of an ambulance, hotel security arrived. They had been instructed not to allow any outside calls from their room. By evening, Paloma's condition was critical. Her lips were blue, her pulse weak. Esperanza didn't care about consequences anymore. She screamed. She screamed as loud as she could, hoping someone, anyone, would hear and help. But the Fontainebleau's thick walls and Khalid's money ensured their privacy. At 11:47 p.m. on January 8, 2024, Paloma Rodriguez stopped breathing. Esperanza held her sister's lifeless body and sobbed. Everything they had dreamed of, everything they had hoped for, had led to this moment. Khalid stood in the doorway, completely unmoved. "This is what happens when people don't follow the rules," he said coldly. Esperanza looked up at him through her tears. "You killed her. She killed herself. The drugs were just to keep her calm. It's not my fault she had a weak constitution." Something inside Esperanza broke that night. Not just her heart, but her will to live. Her baby sister, her responsibility, was dead because of choices they had made together. Khalid left the room, probably to plan how to dispose of the evidence. But Esperanza didn't care anymore about escape, about survival, about anything. She went to the balcony and looked down at the Miami Beach street far below. 18 floors. It would be quick, but first she did one last thing. She wrote a note on hotel stationery, explaining everything. The kidnapping, the threats, the forced captivity, her sister's murder. She hid it in the bathroom, hoping someone would find it eventually. At 3:17 a.m. on January 9th, 2024. Esperanza Rodriguez joined her sister. The note was found 3 days later by housekeeping. By then, Khalid al-Mansouri had vanished. His private jet had left Miami that same night, destination unknown. How does a dream become a nightmare so quickly? How do two young women seeking a better life end up as victims of an international trafficking operation? The final part of this story will reveal the investigation that followed, what authorities discovered about Khalid's network, and the painful truth about how many other young women have disappeared into this dark world. What would you have done differently if you were in their place? Could this tragedy have been prevented? Share your thoughts as we prepare for the heartbreaking conclusion of this story. January 12, 2024, 3 days after the tragedy. Miami-Dade police detective Sarah Martinez arrived at the Fontainebleau, Miami Beach to investigate what initially appeared to be a double suicide. 2 young Hispanic women. No identification found with the bodies. No family contacts. Just 2 more tragic statistics in a city that had seen too many. But Detective Martinez had 20 years of experience. Something felt wrong about this case from the beginning. When housekeeping found them, she later testified, the scene was too clean, too organized. These weren't the chaotic final moments of desperate people. This looked staged. The first breakthrough came when crime scene technicians found Esperanza's hidden note in the bathroom. Folded behind the toilet tank, written in desperate handwriting on hotel stationery, the note told the entire story. The fake job offers, the trip to Dubai, the threats against their family. Paloma's murder disguised as an overdose. Names, dates, locations, everything. But by then, Khalid al-Mansouri had vanished. Detective Martinez immediately contacted the FBI. This wasn't just a local crime anymore. This was international human trafficking. Special Agent Michael Chun of the FBI's Human Trafficking Task Force took over the case. Within 48 hours, the investigation had spread across 3 continents. When we started pulling the threads, Agent Chun explained in a later interview, we discovered something much bigger than 2 murdered girls. We found a network. The investigation revealed that Miranda Davis, the woman who had first approached Paloma in Phoenix, was part of an organization that had been operating for over a decade. Young women were recruited in cities across America, Phoenix, Detroit, Memphis, Albuquerque. Always the same profile, financially desperate, family responsibilities, few connections. The fake modeling and hostess opportunities were just the beginning. Once isolated in Dubai, the women were forced into what investigators called high-end sexual slavery. Wealthy men from around the world would bid on exclusive access to these women. But Esperanza and Paloma had been different. They had resisted. They had tried to escape. And that resistance had cost them their lives. The investigation in Phoenix uncovered heartbreaking details about their mother, Consuela Rodriguez. On January 6th, the same day her daughters were being held captive in Miami, she had indeed been hospitalized. But it wasn't an accident. Security cameras showed 2 men following her from the pharmacy, where she had gone to pick up her diabetes medication. They had deliberately pushed her down a concrete staircase. The accident had been staged to control her daughter's behavior. Consuela had died from her injuries on January 10th, 1 day after her daughters. She never knew what had happened to them. The last conversation she had with Esperanza was a text message. "We're fine, Mama. Coming home soon." The international investigation led to disturbing discoveries. In Dubai, authorities found records of at least 40 American women who had entered the country in the past 5 years for entertainment work and had never returned home. Some, like Yasmin who had tried to warn Esperanza, were still alive but trapped in the system. Others had simply disappeared. The investigation suggested that women who became too troublesome or too sick to work were often killed, and their bodies disposed of in the Arabian desert. Miranda Davis was arrested at her Scottsdale office 3 weeks after the Miami murders. Her computer contained recruitment files on over 200 young women across the southwestern United States. But Miranda was small fish in a much larger operation. The real shock came when investigators discovered who else was involved in the network. Robert Thompson, the man who had seemed sympathetic to Esperanza at the Miami event, wasn't trying to help her. He was one of the buyers, interested in purchasing her for his own collection. His apparent concern had been an act designed to gain her trust and make her more compliant. The scope of the operation was international. Similar networks were operating in Canada, targeting indigenous women. In Mexico, young girls from rural areas were being recruited with promises of modeling careers in Los Angeles. In Eastern Europe, women were being trafficked to Gulf states under work visas for domestic service. All roads led back to Dubai and a consortium of wealthy men who treated human beings as commodities to be bought, sold, and disposed of when no longer useful. But despite the international attention, despite arrest warrants and diplomatic pressure, Khalid al-Mansouri was never found. Intelligence suggests he operates under multiple identities and has connections that protect him at the highest levels. The case revealed uncomfortable truths about how international human trafficking operates in the 21st century. It's not the crude kidnapping scenarios from movies. It's sophisticated. It uses social media for recruitment. It exploits economic desperation, and it hides behind legitimate businesses. Dr. Sarah Williams, who studies human trafficking at Georgetown University, put it bluntly, these criminals understand exactly which vulnerabilities to target: single mothers, immigrants, people with sick family members. They offer solutions to real problems, then create dependencies that make escape impossible. Today, the Rodriguez family home in Phoenix sits empty. Neighbors report that sometimes flowers are left on the front step, always with notes in Spanish. Para las hermanas que solo querían ayudar a su familia. For the sisters who just wanted to help their family. The beauty salon where Paloma worked has placed a memorial in the window. Her Instagram account, still active, receives dozens of messages every week from young women sharing their own stories of narrow escapes from similar schemes. Miranda Davis was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. She was the only person ever convicted in connection with the Rodriguez sisters' deaths. The judge noted during sentencing that she showed no remorse, but the larger network continues to operate. According to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, similar recruitment patterns are being reported across the country every month. The question that haunts everyone who worked on this case is simple. How many other Esperanzas and Palomas are out there right now? How many young women have seen similar Instagram ads, received similar business cards, been promised similar opportunities? And how many families are waiting for daughters who will never come home? If you or someone you know has been approached with offers that seem too good to be true, please contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline, 1-8883-73788. It's confidential. It's free, and it operates 24 hours a day. The Rodriguez sisters died believing they were protecting their family. Their story must serve as a warning to others. When someone offers to solve all your problems with easy money, ask yourself what they really want in return. Because sometimes the price of a dream is everything you thought you were trying to save. Remember Esperanza and Paloma Rodriguez. Remember that they were daughters, sisters, dreamers. They were not statistics. They were not commodities. They were human beings whose only crime was wanting a better life for the people they loved. And remember that their story continues every single day, with different names, different cities, but the same tragic ending. Unless we stop it. Rest in peace, Esperanza and Paloma. Your story will not be forgotten. Final message to viewers. If this story has affected you, please take action. Share information about trafficking warning signs with young people in your community. Support organizations that help trafficking survivors. And never forget that behind every trafficking statistic is a human being with hopes, dreams, and family who love them. Thank you for listening to this difficult but important story. Please share your thoughts in the comments and help us make sure stories like this reach the people who need to hear them. Until next time. Stay safe, and never stop asking questions when something seems too good to be true.